Hey, Poppy, tell them what they're watching. Yeah.
Welcome to a Popcorn Culture Podcast for popcorn, soda pop, popular media, and other popping things. We're looking to make the podcast consistently monthly starting now. Wish us luck with that. Our usual popcorn shop was closed for the 4th of July weekend, so this month it's just regular movie theater popcorn all around. But we do still have the novelty sodas. Mason found a local brand very similar to those at Poppin. We got Cherry Breeze and what, at Costco, did you say?
I got it at Kohl's Wholesale,
No.
and yes, from what I've heard, these are made in Illinois, so
yeah, still
fairly local.
still locally.
Yeah. Love supporting that local.
Yep, we do what we can. This month's movie was the longtime social phenomenon, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which we've been anticipating for some time. It was Aaron's second pick in our rotation. These guys, musical theater people far more experienced than myself, know the phenomenon well I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into.
And something special, this is the first movie we've done on this podcast that actually was physical media, because it's apparently not on any streaming service right now. But I ended up having a DVD of it, so
There might be a reason why. It is not family safe.
well, that doesn't stop a lot of streaming
Yeah,
services.
it's
There are
like-
already movies on stuff.
So that, as it turns out, is the 1975 independent film version of Jim Sharman and Richard O'Brien's 1973 stage show called The Rocky Horror Show, a tribute to the schlocky sci-fi horror B-movies of the 30s to 50s and the glam and punk rock scenes of the current time, filmed primarily at the Victorian Gothic Oakley Court estate, best known for its appearance in the classic Hammer horror films. The star of the film needs no introduction, Tim Curry, playing the villainous extraterrestrial transvestite mad scientist Dr. Frankenfurter. Richard O'Brien himself plays the requisite hunchbacked handyman Riffraff. Patricia Quinn and Little Nell Campbell play the Doctor's lovely assistants Magenta and Columbia, all four of these actors returning from the original London stage show. Incidentally, the disembodied lips singing the theme song are Quinn's, while their voice is O'Brien's. Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon are our hapless horror heroes, Brad and Janet. Charles Gray narrates the film from some point in the future as an unnamed expert criminologist. Jonathan Adams, who played the criminologist in the stage show, plays Dr. Everett Scott, Brad and Janet's former science teacher, now an FBI analyst in pursuit of Dr. Frankenfurter's technology. Meatloaf plays Eddie, a motorbiking zombie delivery boy, and would go on to play Eddie and Dr. Scott in the 1975 Broadway version, coming back for that along with Curry and O'Brien. And handsomely muscled antiques dealer Peter Hinwood portrays Rocky, the silent creature of Frankenfurter's creation who expresses himself only through song, his voice provided by singer-songwriter Trevor White. The film is the longest-running theatrical film of all time, as it's still running to this day, being known since shortly after its disastrous initial box office run for midnight screenings where fans dress up as the characters and perform the film as it plays, along with a number of established call-and-response rituals.
We did not do that, mostly because we did not have the means to do that.
No, we just get the DVD. So, fellas, what the hell did we just watch? We usually leave the initial conversation to the one who's least familiar, and that's me. So, permit me a moment of initial thoughts before we go off script.
No problem.
I know the fun nostalgia of bad B movies as a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, and I'm a fan of horror comedy musicals thanks to the recent works of Team Starkid. And I imagine this film basically invented both concepts, so that's two of its legacies right there, along with its themes of androgyny and sexual awakening, which I'm sure were big in the 70s and beyond. Intellectually, I could definitely see the power and influence that this film holds. From a musical standpoint, it's one of those where the songs don't really mesh well with the plot, and except for Tim Curry, everybody singing is really weak, but they're catchy and fun. I did some studying of the soundtrack afterward, and as for the plot, it certainly does a good job of imitating the sort of plot you'd see in an Ed Wood movie. It's terrible, but I assume it's entirely on purpose, so it excelled there.
Yeah. It does a good job doing that. But well, what the hell we watched was a good movie, but it was also a bad movie. But it was also a good movie. It's a good bad movie.
You know, it's a fun movie. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
I personally have just really enjoyed this movie just because I do like those kinds of cheesy, so ridiculous and bizarre you can't help but enjoy it. Has it's easy to see, oh, that movie's bad. I know it's bad and I don't care.
No.
Or it's a movie where it looks like whoever made it was having a lot of fun and really attempting to do something great. And you can't help but admire that.
Oh yeah.
And while from what I hear that was incredibly cold to the point that Susan Sarandon got pneumonia, it definitely looked like this was a movie of passion for the people behind the scenes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can't help but just kind of vibe off that energy. I mean, you see the time warp, you want to do the time warp. You see Tim Curry singing, and you can't help but keep your eyes on him because he commands the screen so well.
Singing with him if you know.
And I'll be honest, I mean, yeah, I would say on a technical level, some of the singing is not particularly great. I mean, Barry Bostwick is an amazing singer. He's a Tony nominee for a reason. Actually, no, he's a Tony winner for a reason. But at the same time, I think the reason his songs don't come off very powerful is because Brad is supposed to be meek.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
supposed to be a power.
Yeah.
And I like Richard O'Brien in this movie. I think his singing really captures the glam rock style. So, but yes, I would agree with you. Standout is easily Tim Curry. There's a reason this is the film that made him a household name, and that's because that guy absolutely nailed it.
Kills it, dude. Just how he really puts his whole heart and soul into all of it. And you can really see it that he just really loves what he's doing, especially how he's like just the making of the film. And I don't know how much involved he was personally, Tim Curry, but it felt like just how he performed was just he was involved 100%.
Well, and while there have been plenty of people to play the role of Frankenfurter, I mean, the show's had numerous revivals and all that. Who's the person everybody thinks of?
Yeah.
And
Tim Curry. And there's a reason for that.
he's on the back. He's literally the one on the back.
With the lip.
Yeah, but again, he's the reason you think of it because he defined that character just so stinking well.
And I kind of like the fact that everybody doesn't sing very well because it kind of brings more like people who can't sing too well just in life in general really can enjoy a movie because it's not glammed up.
I wouldn't say that they don't sing well. I
It's
think
just
they sing well for what the songs and the characters are.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wouldn't say that it's something that you would expect to hear in like an opera house or a concert hall.
Or a good like a high budget music.
And it's I mean the singing I've seen some MSG3K films where the characters sing. It's similar to that. It's
Better than most. I do think it's better than most.
Exactly, but it matches the style pretty well. A bad movie. It's emulating bad musicals while being a good one. Emulating bad movie.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just so good.
Oh, yeah.
And then like I like the whole scene. I was first involved with before at my high school with the time warp. That's where I got first involved with it, and then I watched the movie afterward. And I didn't realize it at the time because I thought it was just since high school kids, like, oh, this is a fun high school thing. I didn't realize where the song came from originally, and then learning it later as a young adult. It's like, wow, I can't believe that high schoolers do that.
You went to high school around what, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, I graduated.
So that was around the time that the TV show Glee pretty much reenacted the musical.
Yeah.
The quality of which I'm not going to comment on, but I am going to say that that's probably what a lot of people your age got introduced to it and sought it out. So that's a good thing that came from it. It made people who otherwise wouldn't have think about it seek it out. I ended up seeing it in high school just because I was going through a phase of really going through a bunch of different movies from the 70s and someone suggested it. I watched it. It's like, this is kind of funny.
It's just so good.
I didn't come to appreciate it until I was a little bit older and understood it a little bit more.
Yeah, that was the main thing for me too, because as a child, or like you said, don't understand that when you learn that how adult it is. Yes, but and like I said, it's still very it's weird to say sexual awakening for some people who do watch it, of understanding like kind of where they're at and who they are, and be confident in who you are and who or where you're at too.
Well, and think about how controversial that must have really been in the
Oh,
1970s, because I mean, this is at a point where, as far as most people were concerned, anybody who wasn't straight didn't exist.
No.
So to have someone like Tim Curry come out in, lingerie stocking with
Wow.
lipstick
High heels.
and sing a song about being a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Oh man, I can see first of all why this movie didn't make any money initially, why it didn't get good reviews initially, and I'll be honest, it's kind of a miracle it didn't kill Tim Curry's career, because it really could have.
That's
Yeah, but he was just that good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat me to the butt.
For the 1970s sensibilities, it's amazing that not only did this movie find an audience, but it's managed to endure for so long.
Pulled it off so well that it launched a career and what ought to have been a career killer.
Yeah, well, and again, Meatloaf went on to be a rock star. Brandon won an Oscar. Barry Bostwick is a Tony and I believe winning actor. A lot of the people in this movie went on to do a lot of things.
Richard O'Brien is Ferb's dad.
Yes. Brian also made another movie musical called Shock Treatment, I think is what it's called. And from what I hear, it's a lot more mixed in its reception. But the point is, he did make another one, so maybe at some point we'll check that one out too.
Yeah. But did you eat one more popcorn? Yes, but yeah, and what was the Rocky? He in real life is a art
He's an antique stealer. Yes, this is the last of 4 films he acted in that was the entirety of his acting career. He's an Australian antique stealer.
Understanding that, I think that's where Ferb's dad got his profession as an antique stealer.
Yeah, God, there are people references in Phineas and Ferb because Grandpa on the other side is Barry Bostwick. I know Tim Curry was in one episode. I forget what he did.
Yeah, he was Tim Curry probably.
He was the villain in the story Doofenshmirtz. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of them movies you kind of have to laugh at. And if you do can experience in like some sort of theater mode to like get involved with like the story process of like, I forget what it's actually called, but when you bring props with you,
I think they just called it midnight screenings. And
then you get to do like the certain props of like there's a water gun because there's a rain scene. Toilet paper is meant for Rocky, so you throw the toilet paper at a certain.
There's toast that you throw at the screen when he proposes a toast.
So you
There's newspapers and water guns for the raining scenes. There's a lot of stuff.
And then like every time Brad or Janet are on screen, you yell something.
Yeah.
I forget what.
I don't know. The DVD actually has a feature where it cues you as to what you would do during a midnight screening. So it would tell you, okay, do this here or something.
Yeah.
So we didn't do that mostly because that's too much work and we're kind of lazy.
Yeah. See the film for the first time. Yeah, you can for the first time see it alone.
Oh, it's funny. The first time I saw The Room, it was in a movie where I threw spoons at the screen. So I don't know, maybe it is better, maybe it's not, but that's not the way we experienced it. So
It's how you experience it makes it your own. But yeah, and it well darn, I just lost my train of thought. Oh well. But it's still one of them good movies that I suggest that watching is really good at home privately.
Yeah.
But
Very private.
very
Perhaps.
very private.
I am kind of curious, what was your favorite song between all of you? I will go ahead and go first.
So yeah.
As much as I like the Time Warp, there's something about the song Hot Patootie that just really captures my love of classic rock. And I know Meatloaf can sometimes be controversial in terms of how people view him, but as a rock star, I've always liked his career. And I think for the 5 minutes he's on screen, he sells that. hell out of that song.
Mhm.
Dude,
It
he goes
is-
all wild with it too.
Yeah, I that's one of my favorite songs. And yeah, probably after that it would be the Time Warp, and then I don't know if it's between Damn It Janet or
No.
Sweet Transvestite. One of those two. Again, Tim Curry is amazing. I just can't say some of his songs are my favorite because I'll be honest with you, his last song, I'm Going Home, really for me kind of dragged it. This is the climax, and we're stopping to sing a ballad.
Yeah. Hoping he gets it ends real quick. Just bring it down. Come on, man. But I think mine would have to be. It's gonna be call me out a little bit. But I like touch me. Touch me.
I was gonna go.
I do like that song.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't. I do like that song.
Mhm.
I just can't say it's my favorite.
My second favorite would have to be not Tim Curry's finale, Going Home, but the one before that, where he has all the stats.
The cabaret number.
cabaret.
Like yeah, the surrender yourself to pleasure. Or something
Yeah,
like
that one.
calling it. I
Yeah.
know I'm not getting the
Rose
title of
Tint
that.
My World.
I know. I think it's just called The Floor Show.
Yeah, and then the first portion of it is
Yeah.
Rose Tint My World. I'd say that's a highlight as well, and definitely Hot Patootie.
Yeah.
It's a very strong one.
Yeah, and again, like I said, there aren't a lot of songs in this I necessarily dislike. Like I said, the only reason I don't like I'm Going Home as much is because it just kind of kills the pace.
Yeah.
It's not bad. In fact, Tim Curry does an amazing job. I
Yeah.
just kind of wish it was placed somewhere differently.
Yeah. A little bit shorter, maybe even.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no bad numbers in it. They all-
Not
No.
really, no.
no.
If I had to pick the weakest one personally, that's a hard one to pick the
Ow.
weakest song. I would say it's probably Superheroes, the one that's only in the UK version, which I didn't know. But apparently, if you want to watch this movie, try and seek out the UK version because
Yeah.
it does have an extra song, which I didn't know
that's
about.
pretty much the only difference, apart from some minor sound mixing things. Is that yes, is that the UK version does in fact have the final number in it.
And
It's
the-
called Superheroes, and I gotta say, weakest number in the show. But
The only reason I think it's
it
the
belongs
weakest,
there.
the only reason I think it's weakest is it feels unfinished.
Yeah.
It feels like half a song.
It does,
It only
yeah.
goes on for like 40 seconds.
And then
Yeah. It's two bars, and it's like they're not even. It's like it doesn't even get to the point. They don't get to the part
Yeah.
where the superheroes show up. Right.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, and they're
So-
weirdly hanging out like
Again, it's not bad. I kind of wanted more.
no.
And I think that, I mean, if Richard O'Brien decides, I want to take another pass at this 50 years
Yeah.
later and writes like another verse or a chorus in another or something, if that song were a little more substantive,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, it actually might be one of the better songs in the show. But
Yeah.
as it is in the movie, and again, we're only going by the movie, we're not going by the stage show for whatever differences there may be.
Yeah.
Going by the movie, I would say that's probably the weakest one.
I feel there must be more to that song.
It probably is. The trash can in one of his old apartments.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably on one of them.
who knows?
I haven't seen the Glee one, so I'd have to maybe check that like a clip of that out.
Yeah,
Believe
they did a whole album apparently. Yeah.
But it would be cool to see like not like to get Tim Curry out of the standing, but it'd be cool to have him redo this. Maybe glam it up a little bit more, fix some things, change it up a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
every song they do is impeccably produced.
It is.
Yeah.
It
To
very
the
is.
point that sometimes it's a little too overproduced.
For me, it was the.
My
I'm
only,
not saying I don't like it. It's just for me, it's not one of my favorites.
I have a couple of major gripes with the Glee episode because you guys haven't seen it. First of all, there are two things I love,
Mhm.
and it's the fact that Barry Bostwick and Meatloaf have cameos as network
Oh.
producers,
Nice.
wanting Jane Lynch's character to say a bunch of far right terrorists are going to hurt you things. That was funny, mostly because they were able to get those two to do it. But the one issue I had is they had to make a couple of concessions for TV, and I didn't like them. Specifically, and this is one of my biggest sticking points, Amber Riley, who plays Mercedes, does Frankenfurter's number,
Hmm.
and they had to change the lyric from sweet transvestite from transsexual, sweet transvestite from sensational Transylvania. And it's like, no, that's not how that works.
No, the point of the movie is to point that out. They have that out there.
No, I think it's them.
No, I don't think transsexual is an appropriate thing to say. You say transgender.
But what I'm saying is, I think they changed it to appease network authority.
Sure.
Because I'm sure, well, to this day, I'm sure they still use the concept because they don't necessarily, spoiler for the movie if you haven't seen it. Transsexual Transylvania is supposed to be the planet they're from.
Yeah, that's I've known about the song for so long, and I always assumed, he's from Transylvania because it's horror, and and then this transsexual Transylvania is just an epithet. But no, they're from the planet transsexual in the galaxy Transylvania, and somehow that manages to be completely expected.
Yeah, in the end, you're like, well, yeah. It comes out, you're like,
yeah. The characters in this Frankenstein pastiche are actually space aliens. Yeah.
Again, they changed that. It just, first of all, I feel like they could have changed it to something a little bit more fitting to Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
And second of all, it just feels like they were making that because the network censors started wagging their fingers saying, can't say that word.
At best, you could say transgender Transylvania. That would fit.
Yeah. I have to wonder if the live version, Fox did a live show version of it with transgender actress Laverne Cox. But I have to wonder if they still use the word transsexual. Now that I think about it.
I forget they did do it.
I don't know if it's an inappropriate word. I know it's inaccurate.
I know it's inaccurate.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Again,
yeah.
Considering in the context of the song, they're talking about their home, not the ideological.
I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely something to look into if they change that particular word, because I can see it being grandfathered in because it's such a classic for the androgynous community.
Yeah. Well, and again, Frankenfurter in the 1970s was one of the first truly pansexual characters ever in cinema. So
He showed it.
honestly, I always got a kick out of the scene where Frankenfurter sneaks into Brad and Janet's room and it's played out war.
Does he go? He didn't go all the way with Janet, does he?
No, he does.
No, he doesn't.
No, he does.
He's meant to, that's
At least that's what they imply.
Because you see the proof when Brad's sitting on the bed smoking a cigarette.
Well, and that was the joke I like. It's like, Brad, where are you? I can't believe it. He's smoking.
He's so against the smoking. Infidelity.
Infidelity. He's smoking. I don't see this marriage working out.
That would be a good spot. Be like, how dare he smokes Marlboro Reds instead of the new Marlboro Smooth. Dad. But yeah, it's still a really good movie, still a good cult classic that is just something that when you get done with it, you're like, wow. Wow.
I will say this, if you're
It's good,
not
though.
into musicals, you're probably not gonna like this.
No. I feel like most people have maybe heard Time Warp.
Yeah, the time was
Yeah.
more of a breakaway pop hit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you're not the type who already enjoys musicals,
Then you should be shot.
you're okay. If you're the
That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
well, anyway, the point is, if you're this type of person who, if you see a musical, you usually change the TV or watch something else. I don't see you probably getting into this unless you're a huge fan of those,
of
or-
the musical storytelling style. Yeah, I completely accept. Some people don't vibe with musicals as a storytelling style. It's just
So if
it's
you don't,
definitely a vibe.
yeah. So if you don't like this, you're probably not going to get into the campy horror that. And honestly, with the exception of maybe 2 scenes, it's really not all that, much of a horror movie.
Oh yeah,
No.
no.
It's a pastiche of it, but with the exception of two scenes.
It's not like the B movies that were scary, you know.
Yeah, it's not like the Harvey Corbin, not Harvey Korman.
Harvey, ooh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh man, I totally know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, the guy who produced the original Little Shop of Horrors, right?
Yeah.
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. Okay, I knew it was Corman. I knew Harvey Korman was a phenomenal comedic actor, though. Anyway, Roger Corman, who recently passed away, from what I heard. If you're not into his kinds of movies, and honestly, I have never seen a Roger Corman movie.
No.
But I have appreciated his work. I've known about his work. I just haven't seen a movie.
You didn't see the Little House of Horrors?
I haven't seen the original.
The original Little Shop of Horrors from the 50s.
Yeah, I haven't seen the original, but I mean, I've seen clips of his movies. I know of his movies. I respect his movies.
Yeah.
But if you're not into those kinds of movies, and if you're not into musicals, this really is not for you. And I don't.
It's not a one that you're like, oh, let's just watch this tonight. It's one that you have to like really choose to watch. It's not like let's just put on Rocky Horror Picture Show and see what happens. It's like no, you have to choose to watch this because what it is, it is what it is. It's a B movie. It's still good. It's good. It's like a bad good movie still though.
And it's a lot of fun to watch.
It's a hell of a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, hang out and riff. If you don't know the rituals, you can make it your own.
Yeah,
exactly.
On a little Shop of Horrors. So you've seen like the musical
Music,
right?
Yeah.
You know the character Bill Murray plays, who's like that masochistic dental patient.
Yeah.
In the original, Jack Nicholson in his first film role.
One of Nicholson's first.
No. Kind of, I feel like he knew he did music because the original musical. This is original, not the music.
Yeah.
And then Howard Ashman loved that movie.
They just had a crazy idea
made
to make them a horror
into a musical.
Yeah.
So it's an adaptation of a non-musical horror movie turned into a musical horror movie.
Sure.
Yes, and there are two versions. There is the stage version and the movie version, and both end exceptionally differently.
Yes.
But we're not talking about that movie.
No.
Maybe later, but not now.
But hey, back to Glee. One good thing that came out of Glee is that's how Kurt Mega met Darren Criss, and Kurt Mega's a member of Team Star Kid now, and so he's in Hatchetfield. Great series of horror comedies, horror comedy musicals.
It is. It's pretty much everything we've been saying here. If you don't like musicals, you're not gonna like. But beyond that,
if musical horror comedy isn't your scene, it's a better scene than you might think. It somehow works.
Give it a chance, honestly. Maybe just have a relaxing day and just put the time into watching it because I feel like it's worth it. Because it's even like the horror ones with Team Star Kid, those are all really good too.
Yeah, and the first one's called The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. That's the whole premise of it. Yeah.
Those are all good. So this one's one of them ones that it's good. It is good. I like it a lot. It's helped me with some questions I've had.
Yeah, and if it is your scene, we've mentioned a few other titles. Little Shop of Horrors, great horror comedy musical, and Team Star Kids Hatchetfield, a much more obscure entry in the genre, but a really, really good one.
Well, and you can make the argument that Cannibal the Musical, which we've already reviewed, watch it if you haven't yet, is also in the similar vein of horror comedy musicals because, well, it's something horrible happens.
Cannibal the Musical, something bound to happen. That's gonna be bad. Yeah, this is for doing cool day. Sorry. But yeah, so with Tim Curry, I might have to go back and re-choose my songs. I still like Touch Me First, but I do like Damn It Janet.
Damn It Janet's fun.
Damn it, Janet, I love you.
I do love watching that scene just because you get to see the actors for Magenta Riff Raff and briefly Frankenfurter in the background.
Yeah. Still that opening wedding scene, and I realized, the whole cast crew was in there in different roles.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm
Yeah,
I'm sucker for crap like that.
outside of the main cast, the only other actors in the whole film are, well, first of all, there's those that play the Transylvanians attending the rave at the castle, and then there's just the two friends who are getting married at the beginning, because everyone at their wedding and in the church afterward is castle crew, just playing different roles.
And you know what? That's how it usually works in stage shows.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
kind of crap in movies.
Traditionally Eddie and Dr. Scott are playing this. And while Magenta's actress plays the lips at the beginning, which is somewhat done in this film, but they gave it O'Brien's voice.
I have to wonder because we don't hear the actress who plays Magenta sing very much.
No.
I have to wonder if that was like a post-production decision. Like if she sang it, recorded it, and then the producer's like, I don't know if it works for this, and they had Richard O'Brien dub her.
I mean,
I don't know, I'm curious.
the theme of androgyny is a heavy one that's introduced right there.
Well,
And I would assume that was the intention, but yeah, maybe.
Well, and Richard O'Brien has a really high singing voice, so when I first heard it, I thought it was a woman singing.
So yeah, because he really shows it off in this movie.
Oh yeah, I think Richard O'Brien's a really good singer. So.
But Richard O'Brien is the butler, right?
Yes.
Yes, Riff Raff.
Riff Raff, that's right. My favorite scene is the when that towards the end, his sister goes, "They did like you," and then he goes, "They never liked me."
I also love the fact that throughout the entire movie, you see Riff Raff and Magenta doing their sort of
Weird elbow. I call it elbow sex. And it's literally like they put their hands together, they come up, touch elbow tips together, and then go back down.
But you have to wonder if that's normal on their planet.
It probably is normal on their planet of Transylvania.
But I love the fact that it's one of those recurring things that when you see it, you can't unsee it.
Oh, dude, and for some reason it feels weird because how they act with each other. They are brother and sister, and so they do act this weird way with each other.
Yeah, but they're two of the characters who don't seem to be buying into all the sexuality. They just kind of go along because this is their mission.
Yeah. And I always wonder
To everyone else, they're just weird.
I did always wonder, like in the lore of how high did Frankenfurter go? Was he like general level of like he could order their people around? Because he was a scientist.
Yeah,
And they see how earthly and this.
they seem kind of be staging a mutiny against him.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like
Something.
But the way I've always interpreted the plot, and I could be way off base here, so tell me if I am, but the way I get it is they came to this planet and he just got caught up in all the sex and hedonism. He pretty much abandoned their mission, and that's why they're like, "I'm out of this planet and I want to leave now."
That does seem to be it. That he rebelled against the mission because he liked Earth.
Well, for carnal pleasures, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you find out how many people he's been with.
Yeah, and like you said, the two of them aren't buying into all the sexy stuff,
Yeah.
but so that eventually turns them against him.
Yeah, so I asked before we started, and I wonder if they have their answer now, but I asked them if we were to ever see this as a revival and dress up as the characters, who would they go as? I would probably go as Riff Raff because that's probably my favorite character. What can I say? I love snooty English butlers. So I'm curious what these two would do.
I just don't think I could pull off anything bold. I'd probably be a Brad. Every screening needs a Brad.
I mean, you could also do Dr. Scott. I think you got the classes for it.
He could be Brad in just his underwear and shoes. Yeah, mine would probably I have two. I like Rocky because he's got the gold underwear, and then I like Frankenfurter too as well because his outfit's just so bold and confident out there. And so I like that. I like both of those.
I just wouldn't go to a screening in December if that's what you're gonna wear.
I'd be very cool. I'd be singing higher. But then I think I don't know if we answered this, but my least favorite song is actually the one with Frankenfurter and Rocky together as the muscle song.
Make a man out of you. Or Make You a Man.
Make You a Man, yeah. It is really good, but for some reason it just doesn't stick with me as much as the other ones.
I mean,
do.
I wouldn't say that I remember it, in terms of like its lyrics.
Yeah.
But I still love it for just the ridiculousness
Oh,
of
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I need to build up your muscles. Look at him!
He's already
You can't
built.
build him up anymore.
He's already
Not
built.
without anabolic steroids.
You gotta get some whey creatine in there. You need that protein. Some pre-workout.
Well, and the fact that all of
Antique
it's
stealing is hard work, so he doesn't really need to work out.
It's funny though, yeah.
well, and the fact that all of the workout equipment, like the pommel horse and all that, have like a candy cane and stuff pour to it.
Really like coming out of like Candyland
Yeah.
or a Christmas special. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of them ones that just I could always watch again and again. It's always a good one. I like sharing it with friends too, so I'm glad I could share it with my friends here.
I'd say, and the ones that stuck with me least are appropriately the two that aren't on the soundtrack. There's, Wise Up, Janet Weiss, and
No.
Sword of Damocles.
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
they are my
yeah.
favorites, but I do remember them mostly because of their necessity to the plot.
Janet White. And I forgot the sword damn.
It's the song
It's the
Rocky
Rocky
sings when he
singing
first
it.
emerges.
Yeah.
That is just a weird one too.
It's just a weird one because it's like, he was just created. He's singing this incredibly intricate song very well, and then outside of other songs, he just doesn't say anything. It is kind of
run.
totally bizarre. But again, considering how necessary they are to the plot, I do remember them. I'm with you. I don't find myself humming them very often.
Now you
Yeah,
got
I feel like
Wow.
they what they needed was just more screen time to display that Rocky doesn't talk before he starts singing.
Yeah.
Another time I never picked up as when I first watched it that Rocky couldn't talk because he was pretty much a newborn, but as a man,
He does all that, and then it's like, why aren't you talking? Oh, because you're not supposed to.
You're the Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, it doesn't.
and I do like the end where they do come together and Frankenfurter and Rocky climb the tower together, and he shakes his fist at
King
them
Kong
like
bit, yeah.
like Kong bit.
Well, the whole RKO, which
Yep.
for those early movies that they're homaging was a big deal.
Yeah.
So that is pretty funny. I also love the fact that their ray gun looks like the pitchfork they had at the beginning of the show.
The farmers.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Gothic bit.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Also, a public service announcement, just because this bothers me and the painting the American Gothic, that is not his wife, that is his spinster daughter.
Yes.
Get it right.
Yeah. Yes. Father and daughter.
Here, educate yourself.
Yeah. No painting alone.
I've also seen that painting in real life a couple of times, so it's neat. Yeah, it is. It's incredibly neat. I think it's a really amazing painting. I'm just sick of people thinking that's his wife because that's kind of gross.
My aunt and uncle, they run a business together, and they're brother and sister, but everyone assumes they're married. my it was my aunt, she has how often she has to say, he's not my husband, he's my brother.
Get one of those shirts with, my brother's sister and my sister's brother or something.
Bro, always reminds me of those like the kiss cams and like they have a sign that that's my sister.
Right.
Not doing the
Parole office. Parole officer, my kidnapper. Hopefully.
I think you would know because you only see it in a podcast form, but there came a time in early Critical Role where Laura Bailey got a shirt that said, "I'm back, that's Vex."
Oh.
And the shirt that says, "I'm Grog, I'm Grog."
Beck got their
Yeah.
both names got it wrong. Yeah.
No.
Dude.
So, final thoughts for the movie.
Okay.
You were the one who suggested it, so what do you think?
I always love it. I've never. I'm always happy to watch it. I'm always happy to share it. It's one of my favorite movies. Like I said, it helped me answer some questions in my own life. It's just super entertaining if you like this musical bad B movie horror type because it is just terribly good. And Tim Curry's in it, and Tim Curry can do no wrong ever. So, how we doing our rating system right now then?
I think so. I think we're wrapping it up. Yeah.
So out of
We give letter grades.
okay, letter grade. I was gonna say out of like 10 lips, I was gonna or 10 mouths.
Which would be equal to approximately what?
I'll give it a letter grade. Even though I love this movie and it does have its downsides, there are parts of it still that I just kind of give me a little moment of cringe. I can't believe I said that. But I will give this a B for a B movie.
I am kind of in a similar vein. While this movie doesn't mean as much to me emotionally as it does to you, Aaron. What can I say? I really like the idea of movies that just sort of relish in that campy, bizarre, obscure B movie world from, well, let's face it, the early days of cinema, where people were a lot more ambitious, even if the ideas didn't always work.
Yes,
And
I go with it.
yeah, like I said, this movie, even though again it critically and financially flopped initially, you could tell they were really trying to make something really, really good. Launched the careers of so many great actors. And again, it's enduring today for a lot of reasons. Not all the reasons I understand, but I can respect. From a filmmaking standpoint, it does have quite a few problems. The pacing can be odd at times. There are some scenes where I'm just thinking, wrap it the hell up. Yeah, I can't say this is a perfect movie. It is a fun movie. I know that people sometimes think that, oh, a good movie has to challenge you and make you think about things in life. And no, not always. A good movie can just be something where, well, like in our Dungeons and Dragons review, if I'm along for the ride and I'm having fun, I don't care if I'm not learning about the human condition or, problems with class inequity or whatever. I'm just enjoying a fun movie. And this is what this movie is. It is a fun movie, but with, again, weird moments of pacing, bizarre dialogue, and really, really, really bizarre scenes that, in my opinion, go on a little too long. Incidentally, not the Brad Rocky Dr. Scott scene. I'm probably with you. The highest I can probably give this movie is somewhere between a B and a B minus.
Yeah, I kind of gave my final thoughts at the beginning as far as what the whole phenomenon is. I'm gonna be like, I'm thinking like, D plus film, A plus social phenomenon, I mean, you can't learn much from it, but I think you learn what's inside you. And my eye was most drawn by the part where Columbia had her nipples out. So I knew that already.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, young Susan Sarandon in a bra, that was very nice as well. Yeah, but you get a little taste of everything else as well. And it's all up in your face, and you learn if you're into that.
Yeah.
Or if you're into all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Deeper all of the above.
Pansexual.
They could have used that in Glee if they wanted to.
Pansexual Pennsylvania.
It's sensational. Transylvania didn't have the alliteration, so who cares?
Sensational. That just doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
Too much. Too many
It's
S's.
too different. It's not alliterative anymore.
No. But again, if you can't be alliterative to appease whoever made that decision, use something else that still fit.
Yeah.
And getting off to
So what do you got?
where would you rate this?
D for
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, D. What's the average? I guess. Yeah, it's D.
We're at B, so
D plus B minus. Yeah, I'd go. I mean, yeah, for value outside of just being a film, for the culture around it, I give that a B.
Yeah, B's all around. But yeah, good movie. Go watch it.
yeah.
That's approved.
Yep. All right. Next time, we're just going to be looking back on last year's Super Mario Brothers movie, and we're gonna try for certain to have Dominic with us, so it'll come at whatever point in the month we can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we want to just get more heads on the channel than just our stupid heads. All right, catch you next time.
To support Tapas and learn more, visit our link tree. Tapas and Stuff Productions is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon, including Knight Sadie Allen.